When you think about a hard limit list, though that's those things that you just never do. It's things that you never do and you never want done to you. There's always like one thing that always ends up on everyone's list. Now, obviously, there's the three things that have to do with consent that belong on everyone's list, and really, they don't really belong on the limit list because they belong outside of BDSM. Uh, anything, or anyone that cannot give consent. So obviously, those are no minors, no dead people, no animals. Those involve consent, and those are actually outside of BDSM, so we typically don't put them on a limit list, even though sometimes people add that. But there's one kink that always tends to land on a hard limit list, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Coprophilia comes from two Greek words meaning excrement fondness and is the official name for the fetish involving sexual arousal and pleasure using poop. This fetish is often one of the fastest to land on a hard limit list, although many people also often enjoy other kinks that come in close contact with feces. So I believe it gets on that hard limit list so quickly because of a few different things. Typically, lack of education, maybe having a wild imagination, and social stigma. I'm PrimalPiggy. You can find me on Facebook at the PrimalPiggy, all one word. I'm also the admin of a rather large Facebook page called Whips, Chains, and Duct Tape. You can find that page on Facebook at WCDT BDSM. Check out our private Facebook group, BDSM Education Group. It's about 1,200 people that are learning about how to apply power exchange and how to practice kink. And a lot of these podcast episodes actually come from material that we have taught on BDSM Education Group. Uh, Also, you can find a lot of our resources and more at www.bdsmunited.com. So let's briefly touch on social stigma first before I do some education on some different types of coprophilia play, some that you might be shocked that you actually do. When people say they're into kink, they often throw out those handful of hard limits that I discussed earlier. It's usually kids, animals, piss, and scat, or some variation of those. They usually don't say why those are their limits, and they oftentimes don't really have any other reason other than those are all gross, which is classic kink shaming. You know, when kink is involved, everything outside of consent, like I said earlier, is automatically considered off limits within BDSM. Consent is the reason why kids, minors, animals, dead people are all hard limits. They can't give consent, so therefore they're automatically hard limits. If we put anything else on our hard limit list, we need to know why it's on it. I mean, saying something is gross, like I said earlier, is classic 100% kink shaming. Just because you think scat or poop is gross, it doesn't mean you need to go around on BDSM pages and sites and educational, or go around anywhere kink shaming it and saying, well, it's just gross, so no one should do it, or I shouldn't do it. For anything that's able to be done within consent, gross is not a good enough reason, because it often translates that the people who do those things are gross people, and that's not the case with most kink. Perhaps something is a limit because it doesn't appear to be something you would enjoy, or it's something you don't feel is safe for you, or it's something that you're afraid of, or it's something that you tried and you did not like, or it's related to something traumatic that was done to you. These are all valid reasons for a hard limit. Just be sure, whatever the reason is, and there are many others, that it's not related to kink shaming. That's when we say something is gross or ridiculous, inhumane. Even when we're saying, in my opinion, that still doesn't make it right to share that opinion, because you're often also saying that the people who do those things are gross, ridiculous, inhumane, and so forth and so on. So let's look at some different types of kink that involve aspects of coprophilia or scat play. Anal, rimming, and ass to mouth are three types of play that involve an area of the body that comes in direct contact with feces. Anal play can involve all kinds of other kinks too. Anything to do with anal play involves playing with the anus, the sphincter muscles, and or the rectum. No matter what you do, there is no way to guarantee that those areas are totally clean or totally free of all fecal matter. You can do a complete enema. You can do a complete clean out. You can, wipe and swab and scrub and do, every other type of thing. But a lot of those, but you still may come in contact with feces in a lot of those things. So no matter what you do, there's no way to guarantee that those areas are totally clean. If you regularly play in that area, you may encounter some fecal matter at one time or another. And if you regularly put your mouth near that area or objects that have been in that area, you will likely ingest some form of feces at one time or another. So if you're uh, doing oral sex, um, penis and balls, or uh, the whole vulva area, they're all right there next to the ass. And so you may come in contact with fecal matter at one time or another. And if like I said, if you regularly put your mouth there, you'll likely ingest some form of feces at one time or another. And if you enjoyed those kinks, you know what? It's no big deal. Keep enjoying them. Be as clean as you can and don't worry about it. Scat play can be done a variety of ways. Most commonly, it's having your partner push excrement out of the body onto some part of your body, out of their body onto some part of your body. Sorry, some of these words are, kind of tongue twisting me today, but scat play can be done a variety of ways. Most commonly, it's having your partner push excrement out of their body onto some part of your body. The hands, the stomach, the chest, or the genitals, those are common areas for scat play. Oftentimes, to do scat safely, you can use a piece of plastic wrap. You can put the piece of plastic wrap over to cover the receiving person's body. Just one slight little piece of plastic wrap, saran wrap film, is all you need uh, to do scat completely safely, to separate the scat from that part of the body. Just as in wax play, one can feel the warmth and the sensation through the plastic wrap. So it's a similar connection to having the feces directly on the skin. Yet no pathogens are passed in the process, and cleanup is absolutely even easier. You just wrap up the saran wrap and any of the scat material in it, and you dispose of it. It is uncommon for scat play to involve ingesting feces, though some do it. Um, though some people enjoy consuming feces, there are numerous risks that are involved because feces is a way our body exits pathogens and other bacteria out of our system. Oftentimes, a lot of these pathogens and bacteria are healthy bacteria, but sometimes they're not so much. So you'll really want to be careful who you play with. You want to know the health conditions that somebody may have, but also sometimes things go undiagnosed and things are unknown. And so, there are risks involved. You need to be risk aware. And if you still want to play that way, then do it as safely as you can. And, if anything comes up, see a healthcare professional. Scat play can be simulated altogether. There are numerous foods and other substances, like clay, for example, that hold warmth and have similar texture to feces. Simulating it can be a very primal experience for both partners. While considered edge play due to its risks, scat play is often sensual, it's primal, it's about the feelings of connection, but it can also be part of humiliation or degradation play. So, possibly you want to feel owned, you want to feel connected, you want to feel primal, you want to have a sensual, sometimes, you want all of your partner on you and in you and around you. You want to be totally connected to all of them, all of their fluids, all of their, every part of them. And then sometimes it can be, if you're into humiliation or degradation, or you want to, feel messy, you want to feel dirty, you want to feel gross in a good way, if it's something that you want, not something somebody else is telling you that you are outside of your relationship, but maybe you want those things on you and you want your partner to call you gross and want your partner to humiliate you and degrade you, then that can be a kink. It's still fine if it belongs on your hard limit list. Excuse me. Like every other consensual kink, it isn't for everyone. All kinks have risks. We need to be risk aware. That's why we use a motto rack: risk aware, consensual kink. All kink has risks. All kink needs to be consensual. And so someone, someone thinks the things that you're into don't appear to be the things they would enjoy. So even if you're not into scat play and you're into what you think everyone else is into, there is someone who thinks that your kinks are gross. Thankfully, they're not sharing those. You know, so thanks for allowing me the opportunity to share some education. Excuse me, on this commonly misunderstood kink. Coprophilia, scat play, anal play, poop, shit, whatever you would like to call it, feces. They're all different terms for a similar type of play. It can be about feelings of connection, humiliation, degrading. It can just be something sensual. And it doesn't even have to be the substance itself. It can be simulated with something like clay or some other type of dirt or some other type of material. So, again, thank you. I am PrimalPiggy. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to break from some of our other series that we're doing and to teach on this commonly misunderstood kink. Like I said, maybe it's still fine if it belongs on your hard limit list, but just like consensual kink, every other one, it isn't for everyone. And so you can find me on Facebook at The Primal Piggy or on Whips, Chains, and Duct Tape at WCDT BDSM. Check me out on YouTube. You can find me by searching Primal Piggy. And, check out some of our other podcasts as well. We have a series that we were running at the time that I recorded this certain podcast called BDSM Summer School. Check out that series, or check out some of our BDSM foundational series, which includes some of the slave training 101, 102, and 103. Those are really popular. So check out some of the other ones, and thank you for listening today. Have a good day, a good afternoon, a good evening, depending on where you are.